Sit back, relax. You're listening to the Brogcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Brogcast. Oh man, I just had to do that. I was originally gonna do just a normal intro, and then I remembered I had my birthday balloon. Recently was my birthday, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be kind of funny to do for an episode. So yeah, welcome to the Brogcast. I have 50 questions from ChatGPT, just like last time, but this time instead of something music related. This is going to be about current events. So it's going to be a little bit more diverse. It's not going to be all one topic. So let's get started. First question is, what is the most surprising trend of 2025 so far? I talked about this a couple episodes ago, but the trend that was surprising and also annoyed the crap out of me was the anxiety song. Oh, I cannot stand it. The more I hear it, the more I hear it, the more sick I just feel. It just disgusts me. Like taking that song, somebody that I used to know by Gautier, and then just doing anxiety. Oh man, it just makes me cringe. Like I as you can see, I'm. This is a stress response. I cannot stand that song. It just makes my blood boil. But I mean, maybe to some people it's not super surprising that it became a trend because a lot of things nowadays can become memes that have little to no substance, and there's no reason why they became viral. But that to me, I can't fathom why anybody would like that song. Like I said, it just makes me sick. So my answer to that is the anxiety song. Next question is the world becoming too dependent on AI? No, not yet. I think we're still in the infant stages of AI. Things like ChatGPT and voice models and image models, things like that, image generators, voice generators, things like that. They're starting to become really popular, and we're seeing a lot of new stuff coming out with it. But I think it's too early to say if we're becoming too reliant on AI. But it's possible. I think there needs to be a precedence set that sort of says, okay, AI is super helpful for a lot of different things, but it's not a good idea to overuse it because it just causes your brain to rot. So I think it's too early to say if we're too reliant on AI. But I think for some people, maybe that may happen to them. They may become too reliant on AI. And I'm not bashing AI. In fact, as I've said before, and as you guys know, I'm answering questions from an AI. So I think there's a balance to it. I think it's great to use AI for certain things, but it's not a good thing to make it to use 100% of it for everything. Like, if I used AI for the questions, if I used AI for the camera, the lighting, my voice, the equipment, I mean, that would just be overkill. And that's where you kind of draw the line of creativity, you know? So, yeah, I think it's too early to tell for right now if the world's been too dependent on AI. But like I said, it may grow and there might be more and more people becoming too dependent on it. But there has to be limits on it, and maybe societally limits on it to where it's like, okay, yeah, I've pretty much explained myself. I don't need to repeat, but that's my answer to that question. Next question is, are we hitting a tipping point with climate change awareness? Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, year after year, there's hurricanes, floods, storms, things like that. Like, it's every year we're experiencing more and more of that. And In one of my early episodes of the broadcast, I I talked about how the Earth does change year after year. That's kind of how it kind of cycles with certain weather patterns and climate patterns. But it's a little too coincidental that shortly after the Industrial Revolution, from when we started polluting the air, that this stuff started going hard and continuing to progress. It's kind of scary. It I mean, heck, where I live, we've had like five ice storms within the past 5 years. We've had wildfires around my area, and that's kind of uncommon for this part of the country. So I think climate change has to do with it, but I think a little bit of it is our planet is continuing to cycle and evolve. But I feel like getting a hold of climate change and um, just getting that under control, the pollution and the production of greenhouse gases, all of that needs to be under control. And I feel like we may see some improvements in terms of the types of storms and natural disasters that we've been having. I don't want to continue to see hurricanes, destroy people's homes and wreck communities. I don't want to see wildfires continuing to ramp up and destroy forests and wildlife, and habitats. It's just I don't want to see that, and I don't think anybody else wants to experience that any longer. So, like I said, the Earth is cycling probably like it has for years, but I feel like if we get a hold of climate change and do our best to mitigate it, I think that will benefit us. Next question is travel becoming too expensive for the average person? Yeah, I think I saw something a few weeks ago about plane tickets and how insanely expensive they've become despite only being base coach level airplane tickets. Like, it's one thing if you want to fly first class, you got to pay for that luxury, but to fly coach, it shouldn't be that expensive. On top of that, of course, inflation, food prices are going up. So if you're traveling to a different area, paying for food there might be an issue. I mean, this is kind of a sort of a bad example, but Hawaii, if you go to Hawaii, the food prices there have always been bad, but I feel like with inflation, it's just continuing to go up. So yeah, plane tickets, food inflation, yeah, there's just maybe even rental car prices. Though that, in fact, yeah, that's going up and up and up and up. It's almost cheaper in the long term to buy a car used than it is to rent a car. Renting a car, dude, it's insane. So like, yeah, there's a lot of aspects of traveling that are just becoming too expensive, and it's inhibiting people's desire to want to explore the world. It sucks. Next question is, should influencers be treated like journalists? No, I don't think they're considered uh, journalists unless they've gone to college, had a degree, or if they're working for like an established organization. I feel like if you're just somebody talking on Instagram or TikTok, you're not really a journalist. You're just kind of speaking your mind. So I wouldn't call them journalists, and I'm not like demeaning them in any way. I'm just saying that those aren't journalists. They're just people who are coming online and speaking their mind and things like that. It's not journalism, but there are some very talented influencers out there. Like I said, I'm not demeaning them, but they're not journalists. I'll just put it that way. Next question is AI helping or hurting creativity? I think I answered this question like 3 episodes ago, but I think AI is helping creativity for the most part. Like I said, if people are using AI, they need to use it with a grain of salt. It definitely would hurt creativity if everybody were to just use the AI for everything. But I think for the most part, it's helping because there are some spots here and there that, say content creators like myself, there are some things that are super tricky and hard to pinpoint. And I think AI helps those types of things. But using it 100% for everything, yeah, that's just not super creative. But it's not hurting creativity, and I don't think it will as long as people use it sparingly. Next question is the golden age of streaming officially over? Yeah, I think so and I think it's because of the price hikes. I recently got an email from Peacock saying that it's going from $13.99 a month to $16.99 a month, and that's not the only platform that's doing that. Netflix is doing that. Paramount probably is. I think it had. I don't really pay attention to Paramount, but I know Netflix is super notorious for that. Peacock, like I said, HBO Max is super expensive now. Um, at one point, streaming platforms were super convenient and they were at a low cost. Now it's comparable to what you would pay for satellite, which defeated the whole purpose of streaming platforms. So I think now it's just like paying for satellite or cable. It's ridiculous now. I think if the streaming services want to continue to have a a strong fan base and consumer base, and want to sort of continue to revolutionize the whole streaming thing and kind of phase out cable, they need to bring the prices down. It's getting crazy. In fact, I'm gonna side tangent a little bit here. So I'm a big WWE fan. For those of you who know me, and for a couple years now, WWE has been streaming on Peacock, and it's super cool because you can tune in on Peacock for all the pay-per-views. And pay-per-views back in the day used to be $60, $80 for just one. But Peacock, you can pay, well, before it was $13.99 a month. You could just pay that and get access to they're not pay-per-views anymore. They're called PLEs, premium live events. But you used to be able to just get all of that for $13.99. Now it's $16.99. And like I said, it's getting crazy. But WWE is partnering up with ESPN, and I think that takes effect next year. And what's going to happen is, since ESPN is tied in to YouTube TV and NFL Sunday Ticket, that price hikes ESPN's app a ton. Like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but ESPN is astronomically more expensive than Peacock. And I feel like if you're a WWE fan and you just want to watch wrestling, that's kind of waste. That's a waste of money. And I mean, maybe they should do this. Maybe they should offer a reduced cost to the WWE fans who just want to watch WWE. They don't want to watch, Sports Center or NFL or anything like that. If they just want to watch WWE, I think they should bring the price down and have some sort of like individual type version of the ESPN app. Because now WWE fans are paying for WWE. They're paying for NFL. They're paying for all the ESPN stuff. And it's just a waste of money, and it shouldn't be that expensive. It's bullshit. I mean, this is pretty obvious. You see me wearing this jersey, but I'm an NFL fan too. So, I mean, it wouldn't be as much of a ripoff for me, because I am an NFL fan and maybe I want to see more Patriots games. But I don't know. I just don't think it would be worth it. I mean, I can't remember. Like I said, I can't remember the exact numbers, but Google it. I could be wrong, but I think it's like $90 a month. It is crazy. So for WWE fans, this is some BS. I think they're going to lose a lot of customers, a lot of consumers who are trying to just watch the pay-per-views. And on top of that, you've got okay, so like I said, Peacock is the home for all of WWE's special events, the PLEs. Then you've got Netflix for Raw, and Raw, since it's through Netflix, you got to pay, I think it's like $16.99 a month for Netflix. And then in order to watch SmackDown, which is on USA, which is a cable network, you have to pay for cable. So paying for cable, paying for Netflix, and then paying for ESPN to watch all of the PLEs, just that is, it's criminal, dude. I'm a pretty chill dude. Not a lot of things piss me off, but that pissed me off when I read that. I was like, come on, bunch of greedy bastards. Like, come on, think of the fans. And I think it was Triple H who was like, oh no, they'll fork out that much money. No, they're not. No, they're not going to. The vast majority are probably going to drop off the fucking platform because that's just ripping your fans off. I kind of want to see AEW come back up again because, like I mentioned in the previous episode, AEW is kind of on a decline, has been on a decline recently. It's become more low budget. The production value has been a little bit different. I've kind of lost interest. But wouldn't it be crazy if AEW came back strong and basically just took all of the fans who were just going to pay for Peacock and watch the PLEs, but now are having to pay for ESPN, all of those fans, I hope that they migrate to AEW and AEW becomes the top dog and then WWE just drowns. Like, I want to see that happen because they are taking advantage of their fans. They're ripping them off. It's BS. So anyway, that was a little rant there. But what was the original question? Okay, is the golden age of streaming officially over? Yeah, we've reached a point to where these companies, these networks are wanting more and more and more money. And it's just pretty much neck and neck with the value of cable now. And it might be more expensive than cable at some point. So, yep, used to be convenient and cheap, but it's no longer. Next question is, why are movie theaters struggling again in 2025? I think it has to do with prices. Ticket prices aren't, like, at least in my local movie theaters, those aren't crazy. But you add in because I know the most popular movie theater in my area, which is about 30 minutes away, they have reserved seats now. So you got to pay for reserved seats, then you got to pay for the ticket, and then you got to, if you want to have popcorn or whatever, popcorn, soda, and hot dogs, candy, all of that has been super expensive for a long time. Movie theaters are notorious for that, but it's just becoming really, really expensive just to go see a movie. Personally, I love the experience of sitting in a movie theater no matter what the cost is. And I only go like once every couple of years, so like it's not like I'm forking out a ton of money for it. But it's a different experience. But for the vast majority of people, it's probably not worth it. They're like, I'll just wait till this movie comes out on Netflix, or I'll just wait to see it on some pirated illegal website, So it's getting expensive. I think that's why it's continuing to get expensive. It's always been expensive, but it's just becoming too expensive at movie theaters, and that's probably why they're failing. Next question is TikTok reshaping how music is made? No, I don't think it's reshaping how the music is made. I think it's reshaping how the music is distributed and how it targets an audience. So, hold on. Water time. Music has always gone viral online before TikTok, but I think something about TikTok is increasing the amount of songs that are going viral and then going onto streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music. Like, something about TikTok, the exposure is just amplified. I mean, I've lost count of how many songs that I've discovered through TikTok videos. I don't watch TikTok personally, but I know songs that have gone viral on TikTok and then moved on to YouTube and things like that, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels. I've discovered many songs from that boom, and it's just before I would get I would find new songs on YouTube or whatever, or Reels. But ever since TikTok came out, there have been more and more and more songs going viral, and more songs that I'm discovering and loving. One guy that went viral on TikTok, Paul Russell, he was famous for the Lil Boo Thing song. I was like, this is a really good song. It's a very creative sample of Best of My Love, and it works really well. And so I discovered him through that, and then now I'm into like six more of his songs that he's continuing to come out with more and more songs, and he's a very talented artist. But there are other artists that I've discovered through the TikTok boom, and the exposure rate is just so much more, and that makes me really happy for the artist, because not only is it hard to get exposed these days as an artist, but it's really hard to get engagement and likes and comments, and it's really hard to become famous in music. It has been for a long time, but I think TikTok is a new avenue that's helping a lot of artists get to the top. So yeah, I'd say TikTok. TikTok isn't reshaping how music is made, which was the question, but it's changing the way that artists get exposure and engagement. Next question is, who is the biggest breakout star of 2025? That's kind of a broad question. I have to think here. Breakout star? I don't know. Sydney Sweeney, probably. I never really heard about Sydney Sweeney until this year. And then there was that ad that came out. I'm not going to get into that. That's super political. But I would just hear her name everywhere. So I think I don't know if she's the biggest star. I don't really pay attention to celebrities, but I think I hear her name more and more often in the news and whatever. So I think she's probably the biggest star. I could be wrong, but she's definitely one of the biggest. Because every time I turn around, it's someone's talking about Sydney Sweeney. Next question is, has Marvel fatigue officially set in? What is Marvel fatigue? Are they talking about the Marvel franchise? Maybe what they're implying is that Marvel is coming out with so many movies that it's lost its spark and people are losing interest. That's fair to say. I like seeing Spider-Man movies every now and then. I like seeing Captain America movies. He's my favorite superhero. But I don't really follow the Marvel franchise that closely. But it does seem like they are coming out with movies quite a lot. So I think that would make sense that Marvel fans are just getting overwhelmed with new and new movies every year. And it's kind of losing its spark. And I think that's what it's referring to. But that would make sense. I mean, let's see. I like comedy movies. So if Stavros Halkias, who's one of my favorite comedians right now, if he came out with a movie, if he came up with a movie once, that's great. Once every 5 years. In fact, he does. That's right. He does these specials, right? And a lot of these comedians do specials every 3 or 4 years. If he came out with a special 4 times in 1 year for like 5 years, by year 2, I would have Stavros fatigue. I would just be like, all right, this is too much. Like, slow it down. Make these specials less often. Like, it's losing its spark. And I'm not shooting down Stavros. Super funny guy. But if any comedian or if any movie franchise came out with a movie multiple times a year, that's just how things go. It's going to lose its spark. So I think that's what this question is referring to, and that would make sense. Next question is, are video game delays hurting the industry? Yeah, I think they are, because having a little delay and a game release to sort of hype it up and fix bugs, that's fine. But if you're going to delay a game and then delay it again and then delay it again and just basically blue balling the gamers, that's kind of shitty, because it's one thing to hype it up, delay something to hype it up and get people excited and then release the game. But to delay a game to a certain date, and then when that date comes, delay it, and then the next date comes, delay it, like they did with GTA 6, that's not how you treat the gaming community. That's just not how you do it. It's the same with like artists. If they're gonna drop a song and they keep teasing it over the next span of 2 years, like it's just you're just gonna lose fans that way because they're just gonna think, oh, they're probably never gonna drop it. I'm probably gonna die before they drop it. You know what I mean? That's where all those memes for GTA 6 came out. You know, the this happened before GTA 6. We got this before GTA 6. And the reason why that's a meme is because they're just not dropping it and they should have the first time. All right, next question is mobile gaming now more influential than console gaming? Uh More influential? No, I don't think it's more influential than console gaming. Console gaming is always going to be it's probably going to be the top G of games because you can only squeeze so much of a game into a mobile device. You know, the graphics are going to hit a limit. You can't really make the graphics better. The phones, even though they have better and better processors each year and different GPUs and ways to process games, you kind of hit a limit as far as game quality with mobile gaming, unless something super crazy happens. But for right now, they're just kind of a cap to the quality and the gaming experience on mobile games. But console gaming, yeah, that's always going to be better because consoles can evolve in different ways, in bigger ways than mobile devices. So I disagree with this question. I think consoles will always top mobile gaming. All right, next question is what is the most hyped upcoming game of the year? That's obvious. I mean, I just talked about it, but GTA 6. People have been waiting and waiting and waiting for it. And I think it was supposed to drop this year. So I think that was the most anticipated drop was GTA 6. But now it's not coming out till next year. But after that, I really don't know. I think GTA 6 it was going to be the biggest drop. And I think it was the most anticipated drop. I don't think anything else tops GTA 6's hype and anticipation. So GTA 6 wins that one for this year, even though it's coming out next year. Next question is, are we reaching the limits of VR and AR gaming? I don't think so. I think that's funny. I think there's a question in here. I kind of did like a quick scroll through, but I think it talked about the VR glasses. I forget what they call them, but the smart glasses. I think VR is going to continue to advance with, one example being the glasses. But you can I think they're going to add more and more and more stuff to the VR platform with different VR devices. I think that's going to continue to grow and change and just amplify. So, yeah, I would say that we're not reaching the limits. I think it's going to continue to evolve. Next question is, how are gamers reacting to AI generated game content? I really don't know. I'm not much of a gamer. I know, about the big game drops like GTA 6, for example. I knew all about that. I'm a Tekken guy. I've been into Tekken for a long time. But if I were to put myself in their shoes and let's say Tekken dropped an AI generated game, I wouldn't go for it. I really value the time and the effort that these developers put into these games. And if Tekken dropped a game, no matter how great it would be, if I knew that it was just a computer coming up with the whole game, it would just lose its value to me. I wouldn't want to play it as much as the previous games. if that happened to me, if I saw a Tekken game that was AI generated, I'm like, nope. That would be my reaction. I just feel like, nope, I'm not gonna play it. Or, I'm gonna try it out, but actually, I wouldn't play it. Like I said, it loses all its value. I wouldn't waste my money on it. All right, next question is in the health and wellness theme here. It says, why is mental health still so stigmatized in the workplace? This is kind of political a little bit. I'll try to keep it non-political. Anyway, so I think one part of it, one big part of it, probably the biggest part of it, is we're just now getting into an era where mental health is being taken seriously, and where employers are starting to recognize that people have their limits, and people have, issues here and there with mental health. That's just life. That's a big part of it. So, like, the previous generations are completely new to it, and they just label it as, oh, these people don't know how to work hard. They don't know how to persist and have perseverance towards their job, and they don't know how to just suck it up. And that's that's a big reason why it's stigmatized. And a little bit of it, I'm gonna say that there are people there out there who take advantage of the new system, the system that's in its infant stages. They These people, very rare, very few and far between, but these people will just you know call into work just because they don't want to come into work, and they just label it as a mental health day, which those people are giving this mental health thing a bad name. They're making, I mean, I've seen like articles on it, by people saying, "Oh, yep, this is why this isn't a good idea. We need to just keep the mental health stigmatization the way it is, because these people are just taking advantage of it and just aren't coming to work." That's a very small portion of people, like I said, but they're definitely not helping the cause. I think, but like I said, I think mainly it's a generational thing. It's something that needs to be improved on, and may take a while to sort of set in and balance out, to where the people who are just using it as an excuse, and just taking advantage of it, and also like, it just needs to be balanced, so that the people who really need it can have those mental health days, who really need those breaks can have them, without taking advantage of them. Next question is what? Okay, here we go. I always get lost on these questions. Okay, here we go. Next question is the fitness tracker trend still relevant? Yeah, I think so. I think it's continuing to evolve with technology and the apps. I think those are continuing to progress and get better. And I think with AI, like going back to AI, I think it's becoming more helpful for people to reach their fitness goals. I've never really dabbled into the workout, like the Fitbits and the Whoop bands. I've never really got into that. I do have a smartwatch, but I don't really use it for those kind of functions. I don't. I feel like it. I don't feel like it would help me specifically more, because I know what I'm doing. But I think people who are new to the fitness thing, it's very helpful for people who don't know what they're doing and need to come up with a plan. I think it's super helpful. Next question is: should there be an age limit on social media for mental health? Absolutely. I think maybe, yeah, I feel like, if I'd say maybe, I mean, Facebook came up with this minimum age requirement for their platform, which was 13 years. I don't know if they've increased it or if it's been the same, but when I first started using Facebook, that was the general rule. You're only supposed to be 13 to be on the site. But then, of course, people like myself and my friends and other people that I knew were just setting their uh, their birth year as 13 years of age, or more. There was actually one person that I knew, that I went to school with, who said his birthday was in like 1905. It was kind of funny, but yeah, back then people used to exploit it. I don't know if you can now. Maybe you still can. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but I think the bottom line, yeah, there needs to be a age requirement for social media, because when I mean, people give tablets to their toddlers with social media nowadays. They just give them a tablet and let them just go crazy. Um, in that stage, and also in the kid stage, going into teenage phase, the brain is still developing. The kids don't really have an established structure yet with how things work, And so they probably end up becoming super dopamine dependent. And so by the time that they get into the teenage and adult years, they're just hooked. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now with people I know. Like they've just started the whole social media thing too early, and it's had some negative effects on them as far as dopamine regulation and just having their life together. Um, it's never happened to me really, but I definitely got a taste of that when I just started noticing that as I got into my adult years. I was like, oh man, I'm kind of hooked on this thing. Like this is not good. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a break from social media. I'll go off of it for a couple days, and it's super refreshing. But a point being, yeah, if the brain is still in its early like development stages, uh, yeah, these kids should not be on social media yet until they're probably in their teen years, just because they crave structure and they need structure to prioritize their habits. And if they're on social media too early, they're just gonna instantly just their brain's gonna go ooh dopamine, and they're just gonna get addicted to it. So yeah. Next question is cold plunging actually beneficial or just hype? Oh man, I can't wait to talk about this because I just got into this stuff. So back in May, I started doing the cold plunge thing. I It was weird because for before that, I never really got into the cold plunging thing. It didn't really occur to me that I needed it. I didn't have much. I didn't go into much research with it and read about it, but one day I think I saw like a video on it or I read something about it that kind of sparked my interest, and I was like, okay, I probably should do this because I want to say it was more than 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I got into fitness and exercising and weight training and dieting and things like that. So I was really starting to pay attention to how like the biology of the body and how it works. And back in May, uh, I I saw, like I said, I saw a video on it, and I was like, okay, well maybe this is going to be super beneficial for me because cold plunging can regulate hormones. It can accelerate recovery. It can wake you up if you do it in the morning. It can. It has a lot of stress relief properties. So I was like, okay, this is great because I'm weight training. I would love to recover as fast as possible to build muscle and to get rid of soreness. Um, I would love to have a good, wake up in the morning without, a cup of coffee or just gradually waking up. So I was like, that's a good thing. And then I also heard about how the feeling, the what's it called? Not norepinephrine. That chemical makes it so that after you do the cold plunge, you have hours and hours of just a like a relaxed sort of. You're relaxed. You're in a good mood. So I was like, okay, I probably should get into this. This is awesome. So I bought a ice pod. It's a circular tub that you set up, and there's legs on the bottom. You kind of unfold it sort of like a tent. You put the stands in it, and then it sits upright, and then the rim of it is inflatable. So you inflate the rim of it, and that's how you sit in there. You fill it up with water. I fill it up from my garden hose, and that's always super ice cold. And then I put in 8-pound ice blocks. I have two 8-pound ice blocks that I put in there to keep it cool. I usually put that in just as I get up, and then I give it 20 minutes to sort of melt into the water and make it cold. And then I get in there first thing in the morning, or I'd say after the ice melts. I get in there. I used to do 10 minutes, but I figured that was overkill because I read that it's only beneficial for 3 to 5 minutes. After that, you're just wasting time. So I went down to 5 minutes, and then I don't know what happened. I think it's because at this time it was not super sunny outside, and so the garden hose water was really, really cold. And I was like, okay. The first couple of times I got in there, I was like, okay, maybe I should knock it down to 3 minutes because 3 to 5 is recommended. So I was like, okay, I'll just do 3 minutes now. And it does the same thing. I get in there for 3 minutes, I get out, and as soon as I get out, I get that rush of that norepinephrine that they talked about. It just feels so good, and it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. The cold plunge thing is shitty. Like, not as a whole, obviously, but the anticipation and the first maybe 10 seconds of getting there, it sucks. Like, the more I do it, the more I dread it. I swear it is. But once you get in there and you sit there, you start to feel it, and then you get out, you just get that rush of a good feeling, and it lasts for a very long time. But like I said, it's good for muscle recovery and mood, and just starting your day off with a good thing. So, oh man, I don't know how long of a tangent I just went on, but I was way too excited when I read that question because like I just got into this and I'm super like enthused about it. So yes, cold plunging is super beneficial. All right, next question is, how is sleep tech changing our nighttime routines? Yeah, I think it is changing our nighttime routines, and I think for the good. One thing was these mouthpieces that you put in your mouth if you have obstructive sleep apnea. I'm not a doctor, so don't take this advice. I'm just talking about the advancements in technology. So when you have obstructive sleep apnea, the first thing that your doctor is going to get you is probably a CPAP machine. And from what I've heard, those suck. You've got tubes in your mouth, you've got an uncomfortable mask. It makes a ton of noise, so you're half awake all night. And it works as far as what it's supposed to do, but the whole experience just sucks. So a few of these companies came out with these mouthpieces they put in your mouth, and I think what it does is it holds onto your tongue so that when you're sleeping at night, it doesn't fall back and then you're snoring. So that's a big advancement in the sleep world. And another thing is I have this sleep mask that doubles as headphones. It's got speakers in it. When I go to bed at night, I like to listen to a podcast before I go to sleep because my mind likes to race sometimes, and it's kind of annoying. Plus, I don't know. It's kind of a ritual that I've had for over 10 years, and that's just how I fall asleep now. Even if my mind isn't racing, it's out of routine, and something feels off about it. So I always have to have a podcast or music or something at night. Well, this sleep mask, it's a sleep mask, so it goes over your eyes. It's got Velcro in the back, so it straps to your head, and then it's got these little speakers on the inside, and it's Bluetooth. You power it on, connects to your phone, and so you not only have complete darkness, and it's more and more effortless to fall asleep, you also have speakers for a podcast or music, and it's really, really cool. I'm so glad that somebody invented that, and how I found it was I actually thought of that idea. I was like, I wonder if somebody's thought of this idea of having a sleep mask and headphones at the same time without the uncomfortability of having earbuds in or headphones in and not being able to lay down on the pillow comfortably. I was like, maybe somebody came up with this, and fortunately, yes, someone did, and I was like, awesome. So I have one of those, and the battery life on it is insane. The on the box it says 10 hours, but I've slept for 10, 12 hours, and I've woken up and it's still been running. So it has more than 10 hours. I want to say it has 12 hours. So that's another advancement in sleep stuff. The last one I want to talk about is the Pillow Cube. I've had this Pillow Cube since I want to say around December, because I think I got it around Christmas time. It was a Christmas gift to myself, and what it is, it's a foam pillow. It's sort of like memory foam, but it's a lot more. It's not really memory foam because it bounces back up after you get off the pillow, but it's just long enough and wide enough so that if you're a side sleeper like me, you get all of the support on your head and your neck. Because with conventional pillows, when you lay down on those, your neck and your head are kind of misaligned, and they're kind of like kind of at a weird angle, and that's why sometimes people will wake up with neck pain from that kind of awkward spinal neck position. So this pillow cube makes it so that everything is aligned. Your head, your neck, your spine, everything is just flat and aligned. And that has been a game changer for me. It took a couple weeks for me to get used to that because I'm used to just bunching up a pillow and just sleeping like that. Um, but after I got used to it, it's like, okay, this is awesome. It is, and I just got an amazing night's sleep out of that. So that is the third example, and I guess final example of sleep technology. But yeah, it's advancing. We're just finding more and more ways to sleep like a baby. Next question is remote work here to stay or fading out? It definitely seems like it's fading out. And I think, because I know when COVID hit, it was pretty much the only way for these companies to stay afloat with workers because they couldn't go anywhere. But I think now that we're sort of out of the COVID thing, um, these companies now can require employees to come to work in a brick and mortar setting. So I think it is dying out, but I think it is super convenient. You know, there are some people with kids, or like there's a reason why they need to stay home. I think it should make a slight comeback, or at least be an option for certain jobs. But it is phasing out, unfortunately. Next question is, are Gen Z changing workplace culture for better or worse? So I sort of talked about that a few questions ago about the whole mental health thing. I think Gen Z workers are starting to come up with, prioritizing mental health and also the work-life balance. I think one big reason why is because because I'm a Gen Z, we've seen our parents come home just pissed off and tired and burned out. They hate where they work. They just can't. They just take it all home, and so that leads to them not being able to enjoy their time at home. And seeing that, we want to be like, okay, work is work, but there should be a balance of working and having fun and recharging. The current work institution type thing, you're basically required to just burn yourself out, and it's really bad for people's mental health. It's terrible. And I think, yeah, the Gen Z is starting to establish a priority that's like, okay, work is work. Like I mentioned, work is work. That's just how it is. But it's not a good idea to work so much that you burn yourself out and you overthink and you become depressed. That right there just isn't healthy. And life is very short. And so we need to make the most of out of our life and make it as quality as possible. So I think that's what Gen Z is doing. They're bringing that to the table, and it's kind of a fight right now. But I think with time, Gen Z is gonna win that concept, because the Boomers, the Gen Xers, they're gonna end up retiring, and so Gen Z is gonna take over. So it's inevitable. The work culture is gonna get better. Next question is hustle culture dying out in 2025? It might be. I know during COVID, it was very, very popular. That was kind of the big boom with side hustles. I don't know why it's dying out, but I just have this feeling that it is dying out, and I don't know. That's maybe people are starting to understand that they don't need to take on so many jobs. Maybe they're starting to understand that, or starting to say that, like, maybe their one job is enough and they shouldn't have to work any more than just that. The one job should be paying them enough. But I think side hustles are kind of cool, like especially if it's sort of like hobby driven. So like I was talking like a couple episodes ago, I was talking about this guy named the Hornet King, and that was his. I think that was his full time job, but I feel like that's something that could really be cool for a side hustle. Things like that. Because like I said, when I watched those videos, it's so satisfying seeing those hornets just get vacuumed up. You know. So side hustles are kind of cool, And that may add to the work life balance. If you work and you do something that you really, really enjoy alongside your 9 to 5 that you don't necessarily enjoy but is a good job, um, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. But I get why it's dying out. People want to be paid a fair amount for the one job that they have. Next question is: are subscription models getting out of control? Yeah, they really are. I don't think this is talking about streaming platforms. I think this is talking about like supplements and there's a lot. I'll go into that. There are a lot of. In fact, that's the business model is consumables. So like one example is, am I gonna get sued? Okay, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna name brand names. So there was, or I should say, There's a very popular company that makes razors and shaving cream and beard care and mustache care and moisturizers for skin. There's a lot of companies out there, but this particular company I was a part of. I had a subscription with them, and it got to the point to where even though they were more affordable than the name brand razors, things were just starting to add up. I was having to buy more and more razors. The razor handles would just chip off and wouldn't work anymore. I would have to keep buying the shaving cream, and it was getting really annoying. And there were a lot of times where they would send my razors early in the month after sending me razors at the end of the previous month. So they were just hammering me on these consumables, just more razors, more shave. Like they were just making it so that they can make the most money off of me. And I feel like that was super sleazy. So that there's that. And then pretty much all the supplements that I take, they're considered consumables. So I have to buy more and more each month. And, I guess that's partly my fault, but the shaving company, the supplements, um, there's just a lot of stuff that like you have to pay monthly. It's subscription based, and one company, as far like when I'm speaking of like the shaving world and stuff like that, there is a company that makes safety razors, and they have a single safety razor that you buy, and they will give you a pack of 50 blades that last you a lifetime, almost a lifetime. Um, and that kind of totally bypasses the whole consumables thing, the subscription thing. It's super cool that someone did that because a lot of the new companies are just going with the trend. You buy this, you run out, you buy another one, you run out. It's stupid. And just like the streaming services, they'll just rack up the prices, whenever they want to. And that's really exploiting the customers, and it's BS. All right, next question is: will AI force a mass reskilling of the workforce? Yeah, well, yeah, I think it kind of has. One example is I went to a Taco Bell, and this was kind of out of town. So this was like my first time being to this Taco Bell. I walk in, there's a counter, and then where the menu typically is, there was a big screen. It just had ads on it for Taco Bell. And I was like, what the heck? There's no menu there? I'm like, there's a counter here with people, but there's no menu. All right, that's weird. And then I look to my left, and there are those kiosks that you order from. And I was like, oh, this is one of these places. So I ordered everything on the kiosk. I submitted it, paid for it, whatever. And then a few minutes later, I hear my name called. I go up and I grab it. And I'm like, this is really convenient. And I'm not a fast food worker, but I assume they take the orders, they make it. They don't have to deal with, nasty customers or the bullshit when it comes to cashiering. They don't really have to deal with that. So I think that is changing like the skill set of these fast food workers. And I think it's just making things a lot easier. Um, it's kind of a lost art of the whole customer service thing, where it's like there are some good aspects to interacting with people, but there are a lot of bad sides. I mean, I used to be a cashier, so I know how that is. Not only cashiering, but customer service in general. There's just a lot of bad things, a lot more cons than pros. So yeah, it's changing the workforce, and at its current level, it's making it for the better. Now, there may come a time where it completely takes over, and that may be a little scary. But as of right now, it's making things more convenient for everyone. Next question is, what is the most exciting space mission happening right now? I really don't follow that sort of thing. I don't know of a space mission right now, but I do know that there is an asteroid that is heading towards Earth in, I think it's 2028. I don't know the exact name of the asteroid. There are asteroids heading towards Earth a lot of the time, but that one asteroid is supposed to strike, or not strike, is supposed to head towards Earth really, really closely. So they're kind of debating if they need to send something out and demolish it, or if they can just let it pass by. So they're starting to like calculate exactly how close it's going to be to Earth. But I think that's one of the biggest like asteroid scares that we have recently. But um, as far as space missions, I have no idea. That's a question for my friend JJ, who's into NASA and things like that. He would be able to tell you guys that. Next question is there real progress being made on a cure for cancer? Yeah, maybe behind the scenes, but I'd say in general it's just kind of at a plateau, which is really bad because I feel like there needs to be. I mean, I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there's got to be a cure for cancer right now. There's got to be. It's got to be out there. I don't know if maybe it's just not safe enough yet, but for humans, but maybe I think there is a cure for cancer out there somewhere in some form. But for years, it's just kind of been this thing where it's plateaued, and there haven't hasn't been really any improvements on it. But I have seen articles here and there that have like suggestions on like different herbs and supplements, different foods that fight cancer. So there's that. But I actually want to go into this. This is kind of personal, but I'm gonna get into it just because it deals with this topic, and I'm also not gonna get too super detailed to it. So my sister had myelofibrosis. It's a bone marrow cancer. She struggled with it for a very long time, and she almost died. And she fought it for a few years. Had to get blood transfusions, had to get bone marrow samples regularly to monitor it. And initially there was no cure for it, and there still kind of isn't. But my sister, what she did was she completely redesigned her diet. She cut out soda completely, and to this day, she doesn't drink soda of any kind. She stopped drinking soda. She started ramping up the vegetables, the fruits, the proteins, all of that. She completely revamped her diet, and I think it was within a few months she did her routine checkup for her myelofibrosis, and it was gone. The doctor could not believe it. He was like, "I've never seen this in my life as a doctor. Never in my career have I seen this condition, which is very rare, to go away like that." And so that may suggest that diet has um, a big factor into preventing cancer and potentially curing cancer. So, like I said, it's probably out there, the cure for cancer, but it's just kind of behind the scenes, and nothing's been super confirmed yet. But considering that story, I strongly believe that, yeah, diet plays a big role. Our next question is, can wearable tech detect illness early enough to matter? Okay, so like smartwatches and things like that. Um, I think so. I think it's more immediate. The smartwatch I have this feeling that it's not super accurate, but I think the more advanced smartwatches, they can detect health issues quick. So like As they continue to advance, let's say you're losing oxygen and your smartwatch goes off and says, "Hey, your oxygen saturation is plummeting." That is an instant indication that you need to get medical care. Whereas if you're feeling a little dizzy or sluggish or fatigued, you're showing signs of oxygen deprivation. If you're showing signs of that, and then you go to the ER, and then you got to fill out paperwork, and then you've got to get tests done. If you have something like a smartwatch that will tell you right there the the rate at which you get treatment and possibly save your life is up. So I think as technology continues to advance, it's going to be super convenient. It's going to save lives. So yeah, I agree with that statement. I think that it's it'll definitely matter. Next question is, will we see commercial space tourism in the next 5 years? Maybe. I mean, it's already sort of happening. We have celebrities who go into space just on a whim, like Katy Perry, even though she was up there for like 10 minutes. But it's starting. So in the next 5 years, maybe. Um, yeah, I'd say so. Our next question is, should we be more worried about microplastics? Oh yeah, yeah. Microplastics are showing up everywhere, and there are studies being done that say that microplastics are super detrimental to your health. One big thing is hormones. They have shown to completely deplete your hormones by a significant amount. But I also feel like it's too little, too late. I think because I just saw an article that said that microplastics are more prevalent in glass bottles than plastic bottles. But the thing is, the reason why I say too little too late is because microplastics, that you can't get rid of them in your body. They just continue to circulate. And I feel like maybe if we caught on to this stuff early on, we could have prevented this whole microplastics thing. But right now, it's really hard. I don't see us really. Maybe years and years in the future, we might be able to find a way to get rid of the microplastics in our blood. But for right now, oh man, I feel doubtful about that one. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe we'll find a cure for microplastics in our blood. Next question is, are people becoming less social in real life? I would say so. I think social media has been so convenient, and also, people who people who have social anxiety, they kind of, that is super helpful and maybe addictive to them. So yeah, I would absolutely say that it's people are becoming less social because of it. But I feel like there needs to be more awareness. There probably is a lot of awareness, but I feel like there needs to be um, more more guidelines for people who are on social media so much that they just are completely isolated and inept socially. There needs to be guidelines and tips for people. Maybe saying, I think it's already out there, but I know Facebook has it, YouTube has it. They have time limits, so um, that's super helpful. But I feel like there needs to be more of that for sure, because some people have been on social media so much that they can't function in real life social situations. So yeah, I would say so. I would say that a lot of people who, especially the people who have social anxiety, they social media, their continued and overuse of social media is just making it worse. Next question is Gen Alpha growing up too fast? Yeah, I would say so. But I also feel like there's going to be a point to where, because okay, so I'm going to answer that question first. Why do I feel like they're growing up too fast? I think it's because of the availableness of information that we have. So these kids are becoming massively informed at an earlier and earlier age and at a more progressive rate. So I think right now, yeah, kids are growing up a lot faster because they have, they can just pull their phone out and just Google something and it'll be there. With AI, it's, they can just type something into AI and it'll tell them all they need to know. Um, so I think without Parental supervision. Yep, that's very possible. These kids could grow up way too fast. But as a parent, you just got to be like, okay, you got to limit screen time, put parental controls, things like that, so they can't just type some curse shit in a chat GBT and just tell them things they don't want to know. But with I would say without parental supervision and parental controls, yes, it definitely has that potential. Next question is, why are people returning to flip phones and digital detoxes? Well, I think the flip phone thing, I think the reason for that is, okay, it's not talking about the new flip phones. I think it's talking about the old flip phones. I think that's because of the whole social media thing. I feel like it's taken uh, a lot of time out of our lives, and we just get so immersed in it that we don't really see the beauty of simple things. And so when you go to the bare minimum with the flip phones and just staying away from social media, it's a completely different feeling, and it's kind of a lost feeling that I think a lot of people really want to stay with and experience again. Um, I think that's why. I think it's just we're just becoming so immersed. It takes a lot of the simple joys of life away. Next question is, are attention spans getting shorter or are we just adapting? I would say a little bit of both. I feel like maybe the minority of people uh are revamping the way that they take in information. Um, like, but at the same time having the same attention span. But also, I think for the majority of people, yeah, the attention span thing is just shrinking. And I've noticed that in myself. So I have never really, when it first came out, for the first couple of years, I never really understood the YouTube shorts or the reels, the short videos. I never really understood that. When Vine came out, that was cool because it was a new concept. These short videos. Back then, it was cool because it was kind of just first starting out. So I was kind of into Vine a little bit. But once TikTok came around and then YouTube Shorts came around, it was getting really bad. Like the way that you consume the short videos now is just an instant. Vine, you could scroll through and watch stuff, but it wasn't as easy. You had to take steps to do it. With YouTube Shorts, for example, or Instagram Reels, for example, you swipe once and it's there. It takes little to no time to get to your next reel. And my point here is I never really understood that and the appeal of that because I was like, longer videos, that just means more content. But now I find myself on Reels or YouTube Shorts, more often Reels. I will sit there and scroll and just scroll my life away, and it's crazy. I'm noticing that in myself, but I do have a little bit of an attention span problem with that. It's not bad. I can still watch long form videos, but I definitely see where this is headed and how it can affect some people. Next question is the rise of solo travel changing how people vacation? I didn't really know that this was a thing. Um, Maybe there's people out there who just want to go on an adventure by themselves. Um, I don't really know how to answer this. I don't really know about much about the solo travel thing. I know about the van life stuff, like people who buy vans and they trick them out to where they can live in them. That's becoming a big thing, and I think people like going back to the flip phone and detoxing thing. I think people are choosing the van life thing because it's simple and it's not super complex. It's a simple joy that people can really get into. Plus, it costs less. You don't have to worry about paying for a studio apartment for $1,500 a month. You can just trick out your van and live in it. And if you need a shower somewhere, go to a truck stop. There's different ways to do that. Um, so the van life, I totally get it. But the solo travel, I don't know much about. But maybe it's just because it's simpler, like the van life thing. Maybe it's simpler for people, and that's why they like it. Next question is, are plant-based meats dying out or just evolving? I think they are dying out, especially with the rise of using beef tallow and eating real meat and finding the benefits of eating real meat, especially if it's grass fed. Um, the the uh, the artificial meat, kind of like, as far as like the Beyond Meat, that stuff kind of had a short spurt of popularity. But I think now, not only are people going towards healthier meat, but also what may I guess this is kind of an evolving thing, but there is also the lab grown meat thing. Uh, that means that they are much healthier than like the Beyond Meat, like soy products, you know. So that part is evolving, but I think at a faster rate, the movement of having grass fed beef and meat in general without hormones and things like that, free range chickens, I think that is becoming more popular, and I think that that will stand the test of time. Whereas lab grown meats might be a little bit better for some people, but I don't know. Nothing beats earth made meat. All right, next question is, what is the biggest food trend of 2025? I think it's the smash burger. Like, I didn't really hear much about smash burgers until the end of last year and then this year. Like, everywhere I turn, there's a food truck with smash burgers. There's a restaurant with smash burgers. It's a big thing now. So I would say smash burgers are like the biggest food trend of this year. Next question is quiet luxury still a thing, or are we back to bold? I This is another question that I don't know much about. So I'm just, like I have for a few questions in this episode, I'm just gonna kind of play around with it and try to decipher what it is. So I think it's referring to the simplicity of certain aspects of life. I think that's what it's heading towards in that question. So yeah, I would say we're starting to appreciate the simple things more, like I've discussed in a couple questions. I think we're starting to fall in love again with simple things. So I would say that's the answer to my question, which is what they said is quiet luxury. Next question is, should tipping be banned or restructured? I think it should be restructured because, and I have no problem tipping. I'm a big tipper when I go to restaurants or when I order takeout. I understand that financially it's not smart, and these people get paid a certain amount, to where I don't have to tip them much. But I just like making someone's day. I like acknowledging the time and effort that someone has put into making my food and delivering my food, and I also know that I'm contributing to their next meal or their next rent payment. I'm making their lives a little bit easier. But I kind of got off topic a little bit there. But I feel like there are some instances where tip culture has gotten out of control, like DoorDash, for example. Okay, I'm just gonna say, I love how earlier in the episode I didn't want to drop name brands to get sued, but just ignore I said that. There is a food delivery company that just adds fees for no reason, and they brand it as, oh, we're helping the restaurant, we're helping the driver. No, you're not, because I know that doing delivery work with these apps, you can't make much with it, especially when you're paying for the fuel for your car for your 8-hour day just delivering stuff. It's just a scam. So like these delivery companies, there should be regulations on how much they can tip, what they can tip for. Can they brand it a certain way and trick you into tipping, or forcing you to tip in general? And some restaurants, very few restaurants do this, but there's like a what it, one of the restaurants I went to did that. They made me tip them, uh, and just named it something like, I don't know, some sort of fee. They put it as a fee and they made it seem like, oh, this is necessary. Where it's like, no, I was gonna tip you anyway. Like, why are you forcing me to tip? You know, I like I said, I have no problem tipping people. I think it's great. But when a company frames it as something necessary and forces someone to tip, when in reality it's not really contributing to anything, is BS. I don't agree with that. Next question is, why are coffee alternatives suddenly everywhere? I think there is more research into herbs and vitamins and different supplements out there. There's more research going into it, and there has been as of late. And so people are just coming up with different alternatives. That is because coffee, all it really does, regular coffee just shuts off your sleep mode and then gives you anxiety. Like that's all it really does. And I feel like people want more out of their morning ritual. And I feel like if they want to have a nighttime cup of mushroom coffee or hot cocoa coffee, like I saw like these hot cocoa coffees that have L-theanine, they have magnesium, they have melatonin. So like I feel like these new coffees, you can get more from them, whereas regular coffee, you just get, like I said, you just get no sleep and you get anxiety. And I don't. Other than the taste of coffee, I think people are starting to just say no to conventional coffee. And like I said, there's just a lot more research coming out and a lot more benefits to these coffee alternatives. Next question: sports and events. Is name, image, and likeness changing college sports forever? Yeah, I think it is, and I think in a good way because so not only are these college players getting more support, but they're these this evolution of getting their name out there, branding, and all that. It's also preparing them for if they make it to the NFL, what it's going to be like. So you know, all that stuff is just preparing them for the NFL, but it's also, or I should say, all sports in general. It's preparing them for the professional leagues and the media attention that they get, the social media stuff, the branding, the constant fame. I feel like maybe some of these college players they get into the professional leagues and they're just not prepared for it and they shut down. So that is one aspect of it. It prepares them, but it also just adds more value to college sports. It gets more people's eyes on the product. It increases their interest. It's all around a good thing. So yeah. Next question is: are Olympic sports becoming less relevant to younger audiences? I would say so. I mean, personally, I don't really watch the Olympics. I never really have got into it. I don't know why it's sort of a dying art, but maybe it's just because it's become too traditional. Maybe it's a little bit boring for some people. That I think that actually might be the number one reason why it's dying, in my opinion. Because like I will watch the X Games. That stuff is awesome. That stuff is super entertaining and engaging to watch. Whereas the Olympics, it's just somebody doing a figure eight 10 times in an ice rink, or someone's just doing the same old pole vault. Like some aspects of the Olympics are cool to watch, but like overall, it's just become super traditional. It hasn't changed and it's just boring in my opinion. Next question is: who is the most influential athlete in the world right now? I would say present day, it's as much as I hate to admit it, Patrick Mahomes. Everything from his hair to his aura to his skill set. He, as much as I can't stand the guy, I think that he's made a big impact on the NFL. The Chiefs in general, actually, they've got more eyes on the product. I think especially with the Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift thing, I think that's also put the Chiefs on a different pedestal. But yeah, I would say Patrick Mahomes there. As much as it pains me to say that, he's the number one guy when it comes to sports and being influential in sports. Next question is: are fantasy sports still growing or fading? I think they're fading, and I don't know why, but I used to play fantasy all the time back 2014, 2015. And I would always get ads all the time, especially with like the podcasts I would listen to. I would get ads for DraftKings and um, lots of these sports book companies. But now I really don't get those ads anymore. I don't really see them anywhere much. So I think they are dying. I definitely get that feeling that they're dying, and so maybe they are. All right. Final question is: how are major leagues handling athlete mental health better? I think they're giving them more breaks. I think they're doing things like ice baths and saunas. Um, and one big thing that has changed, I don't think, yeah, it hasn't hit like the big professional sports uh, yet, but one company that is sort of embracing that is WWE. What they're embracing is the whole weed thing. So in professional wrestling, these wrestlers get beat up. They have to deal with all the pressure, and it's a very stressful job. And I personally don't smoke weed or do CBD or anything like that or THC, but I definitely see how it can help a lot of people. And I think, and I'm not saying they should just get stoned all the time and to where it affects their work, but I feel like it should be um, it should be legal in sports. But there has to be regulations on it, like I said. But it really helps these people relax. So I think the, the big leagues need to start getting into that. But I think right now they are taking good steps by getting them into ice baths, giving them lots of breaks and resources to therapy and things like that. I think that's how they're helping the athletes. All right, y'all. That does it for this episode of the Brogcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed that helium intro, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.